You sound good too on my end.
Yeah, testing. 1, 2.
Okay. Cool. Alright, thanks guys. It sounds good now. So I did send you the notes that I wanted to go over, so we'll go over them real quick. So whoever is in the stream, thank you for dropping by right now. Looks like, of course, Yusumi, and then of course Juan's here. Thank you for joining in. We're gonna be going over kind of like Guilty Gear Basics, considering that Strive is just around the corner, and you know, this is kind of like a thing that I just thought up like today, to be honest. It's like, I don't know if there's anything, like, there's an overall like thing that covers GG Basics in general, so people can understand what to look forward to when they switch over to Strive, right? Especially for new players that are very interested in seeing this game, right? So this is kind of like just on the fly, kind of figuring out, okay, what can we talk about to kind of figure out, and then we have Mr. Sumi over here to also help me explain as well. Yeah. All right. Of course, I mean, this is Guilty Gear. Guilty Gear has a long history of being a fighting game, and a history of being something else, but we'll not talk about Overture real quick. But this game is a very interesting fighting game in particular. So what are your thoughts on like GG in general? What do you feel?
Compared to all the other games I've played, I want to say the most complicated, the most satisfying.
I can agree with that too. A lot of people state that Guilty Gear is very hard, but also it's just so satisfying because there's so many options you can do in this game, and it does take a bit especially for a new player, to figure out what, you know, all the options. But I did make notes to figure out, hey, this is probably what we should talk about, you know, today, to figure out, okay, this is something that new players can look forward to if they play something old like this plus R or even Xrd to transfer over to Strive. Like the first basics I want to talk about is like movement, which is very easy, offense and defense mechanics. Something very simple, but also, you know, we'll cover all the basics here, kind of deal. This way, it should encompass pretty much any Guilty Gear game that you actually try out, where it's plus R or Xrd or Strive. From, you know, what we've seen, we can probably try to transfer these skills over to Strive when you start playing. So first off, movement. So what do we have for movement?
Let's start with the ground movement?
Yeah, let's start with the ground movement.
Start?
Yeah, we can start with the ground movement right now.
Okay. So this game, it is an air dasher. That is what it is. Ground movement is, unlike BlazBlue, you can act out of your dashes in this game.
Yeah.
In BlazBlue, you have to literally cover your base.
Yeah.
In this game, you can stop, unless you're trying to like block. You have to.
Yeah.
You have to bury yourself.
Yeah. But like in general, so like most anime games, we have, you know, your forward back walking, you know, your dash forward and then your dash back. In this game, it's in Guilty Gear for the most part, it's a lot of running instead of like in like Street Fighter where you actually have like a dash forward, a dash back. You have a dash back, but you run, which is very core to the offensive game in this game too. Besides just jumping, you can just run at your opponent and just like run train kind of deal. But as Sumi said, this game is also very aerial based. So of course we have your jumps, you have your air dashes, And then you also have double jumps and pretty much super jumps. So when you super jump, you just press down and then up again, just to get a very high jump. It also depends on characters as well. Depending on your character, you might have triple jumps, like Chip has triple jumps, right? And then every character's movement's a little bit different. You just have to play around for what character you want to try out and see how their movement is. But like for the most part, there's a lot of like Kai and Soul have like the most basic like aerial movements, so jump, dash, double jump, and super jump kind of deal. Is there any other thing else we can talk about movement right there?
How it changes itself.
Oh yeah, so we'll go to a little bit of offense, right? So of course you have like your buttons. So you have punch, kick, slash, heavy slash, and dust. So dust is kind of interesting, like 5 button, the 5th button. Like most anime games is like usually 4 buttons, and this game's randomly 5. When dust is like is kind of like a universal button, kind of for most characters, right? Dust encompasses so if you do what we call 5D, it's pretty much an overhead, right? So if your opponent's blocking, we call crouch blocking, and you get hit by this 5D, and you get like a weird launcher that happens that you can like combo off of. And then you have 2D, which is your like universal sweep for most characters. But what Sumi's talking about is Gatling. If you can go ahead and talk about Gatling as well.
Gatling is I think Plus R has its where it's how it's gonna get described. Light Gatlings and heavy Gatlings. Light Gatlings are gonna be your punches, which is usually square, and then your kick Gatlings, which is heads. In this game, you can go from those to your heavy Gatlings, which is your slash. You cannot go any of those.
So I can't go like slash into punch or kick.
And then not every character can do that either.
Yeah.
Not every character can do universal punch, kick, slash, heavy slash, Gatling.
Yeah. But like for the most part, like a lot of the simple stuff, you just want like a easy 3-hit combo. You can just go like for 4-hit. You can go punch kick slash heavy slash, and then crouch 2D. Just going from the weakest buttons to the strongest buttons without having to like just press a button and then do something, which is it's very common now in anime games. But this is like one of the games that actually like started the Gatling systems. From there, of course, you have your basic. Normal specials. And then, of course, when you're pummeling your opponent, you get meter. And meter is actually very important in Guilty Gear as well. So you see in the bottom left, the bottom of the screen, you have your tension gauge, is what we call the meter in Guilty Gear. And there's a lot of applications for meter. We'll go over the offensive meter first. Sumi, if you want to start with what can you do with like meter in general?
So meter can be used when it's offensively used. It's used for your supers. So like
Yeah, ride the lightning.
That's your super.
Yeah.
blocking with your area blocking offensively.
Yeah.
That's how you make stuff. It is also used for the game's RT, which is a way to cancel all of your moves out of an attack. So let's say you do something that's very
Oh yeah.
only if you have meter.
Let me see. Yeah. You can see I have a lot of recovery on DP, but actually, let's see. Let's build up this tension. Can I? Okay. So usually DPs are like punishable, right? But if you RC it, you can like actually cancel it and make yourself safe. Or you can like cancel it and continue your combo. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of applications for RC as well. Like, you can cancel it, just make sure, like you said, make yourself safe. You can cancel it to, like, do combos that weren't potentially, like, there. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of applications for, like, RC, and RC is probably the biggest mechanic, I think, in Guilty Gear in general, right? Like, offense and defense. Oh, like, offense is very built around RC as well.
The only trade-off is you cannot whiff a button and then try and RC. The button you have to connect at least a hit. It doesn't matter if it's projectile or an actual strike. But something has to make that do.
Yeah, you can. I mean, it goes from game to game. Sometimes you can, like in Xrd, you can just YRC, right, to stop that. But in other, like most Guilty Gear games, you can't just do this and then throw it out and try to RC, because you're not in block stun. Which comes to we'll start with defensive mechanics actually now. So of course you have regular blocking. You need to block high or low, depending on where your opponent's attacking. But we have like very unique defensive mechanics as well in Guilty Gear. If you want to start with FD, actually, or faultless defense in this game.
Faultless defense is that green shield that you see him doing right there. What that does is it's this game's call to a sort of push block, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
And it also increases the attacker's recovery. So you have, but the trade-off is if they run up and grab you, you can't break it.
Yeah. Another big trade-off, I think, with faultless defense is that you're actually burning your tension gauge, right? You actually have to use meter for all this. Let's set my tension to just 100. And you can see, like, while I'm holding down the faultless defense, my meter is going all the way down to 0 until I have nothing. Tension also helps, or barrier blocking also helps prevent chip, but only if you have that meter. So once you run out, you can't FD, and then if you can't FD, you're just gonna get chipped out on something. I think the next defensive mechanics is probably IB. IB is gonna be a little bit harder.
So IB is what's called instinct. So when you see if it's a block like that, that means you react before your opponent reacts. And it's a perfect block. If you pair that with faultless defense, you something that becomes minus 2 becomes minus 8 for you for the opponent at that point. It's really good for to do it, and it's bad for the attack.
Yeah, and if you see yourself flashing white when you're on defense, that means you did a correct instant block. So yeah, if you flash white, usually when you flash white, you do perfect or instant block. Let's see if that works. There you go. The trade-off is it's kind of like a parry, so you have to actually time it correctly.
Well worth it to go for it.
But it is, yeah. Oh, I forget that IB also gains you meter too. It gains you a lot of meter too. Yeah. Anything else you can think of for any other mechanics for Guilty Gear?
We can talk about dead angles and bursting.
Oh, yeah.
They're pretty much the same thing, but slightly different.
Okay.
So dead angles are, let's say, they're a way to push the opponent off you and return to neutral.
Yeah, but at the cost of about 50 meter.
It's another way of getting the opponent without using your burst.
Yeah, as you can see, like, I am pushing him back during a string. With, like, it usually throws, like, a normal that the character has that's invincible, but you can also... But it's also kind of punishable, too, if I remember correctly. Or it depends on each character. So you have to kind of just play around. I know in Strive they took away the dead angle mechanic for something a little bit more universal. That new kind of like RC burst kind of. Yeah. But another, yeah, like you mentioned before, we also need to mention the burst mechanic, which is
so what burst is the unofficial way of saying get off me, or using it as a way to cancel something that don't have attention. Like that, and it's related, but it is a way to reset.
Yeah. So like I'm getting hit here, and you can technically finish the combo, but I can also burst out of it to break the combo. You can also burst during block strings as well. Kind of like you said, just go back to neutral and then being able to just, you know, say get off me, I don't want you pressuring me kind of deal. But we also have what we call gold burst too, right?
Yeah, that's the offensive burst.
Yeah, that's an offensive burst, so let's waste some... So, as you can see, if you flash gold, right, and then you get all that, you get your attention meter to 100%. So if you're never in block stun or hit stun, and you press the burst button, that's how it triggers gold burst over regular burst. And gold burst is like
They're also hard to punish.
yeah, they're also very hard to punish as well. But the factor of actually just being able to get 100% meter by just using a burst and hitting your opponent with that gold burst is actually very, very good. So you can start running your offense. I don't think they're gonna have this. So what do you think if they're gonna have? Do you think they're gonna have insta kills in Strive? Because it's.
I think they are, but I don't know if they're gonna use tension like they've used in the past.
Yeah, that's a mechanic that we haven't seen from any of the trailers or anything yet. Because, I forget what mode this is. This is like instant kill mode, right? Yeah, so you just press like all four attack buttons besides dust, and you go in this like instant kill mode where it reduces your meter all the way down. Pretty much, your meter goes like super fast down. When you're like you get hit. When you get hit, you take a lot more damage, right? When you're in this mode.
Yeah, you don't have your guts active.
Yeah.
It's a do or die mode, but the trade-off is
you get. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you're at like 1 or 100. Yeah, you can just instant kill them. Instant kills are kind of like very, very like stylish, but like they're like the super cool cinematics, especially like Xrd. They have like the coolest cinematics. I think my favorite one's probably like Jacko, where she just like tossed. Yeah, in Xrd. Or May, putting you in the cannon.
May is funny. Everyone has a different. They have multiple animations for Maze. And Red too.
Yeah, so everybody has different RC mechanics. Or insta-kill mechanics. Yeah. A lot of them are really cool too. But again, very, very situational, and we don't know if it's going to be Strive. But if they are going to be in Strive, I'm wondering how they're going to be implemented. Maybe I have a weird, suspicious feeling that they're going to put insta kills as similar to what Astral finishes in Blaze Blue.
I can see them doing that where it's a final round kind of thing.
Yeah.
Final round low health thing.
I'm trying to think. Any other basic mechanics we can talk about for like Guilty Gear in general to kind of like transition from like any Guilty Gear to Strive?
Talk about the priority system, I guess.
Ooh, okay.
Right throw, command grab.
So So I forget how the priority system works, right?
First beat strikes, normal throw beats, if it's normal throw, it's a throw break. Normal throw versus command grab wins. Command grab versus command grab, it's whoever did it first.
Yeah, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. Yeah, so you have like kind of like that rock paper scissors kind of deal. Did I hit him out of the command grab? If I was blocking, I might get hit with the grab in general. Or, you know... Yeah. And Strive is gonna kind of like change the throw mechanics, right? So older Guilty Gears, you just press forward or back and then heavy slash next to your opponent. And I think that happens in Xrd as well, where it's one frame. So like there are option selects where you can just like throw it, or you just kind of get a heavy slash out kind of deal. Yeah. And it's 3 frames instead of 1 frames now.
Yeah, it's a lot easier, right? Because in the past games, before Strive, it is near, I won't say it's impossible, but it's very extremely hard to break those.
Yeah. Yeah, because it...
Not enough time to react to them at all.
Yeah, exactly. It's 1 frames, but now you have... Which is going to be very interesting when you're transitioning from older Guilty Gears to Strive, is the throw game. And the throw game is going to be a lot different. But I'm going to be looking forward to it, because sometimes, you know, I hate when my opponent just, like, waist up slashes me. I'm like, fuck! It sucks. And since it's 1 frames, you miss up, like, your timing off of, like, a meaty, you're getting it thrown. Whereas in Strive, you can you don't have to worry about that too much. But yeah, I think that pretty much. Oh, one more thing about defense: you just be careful about your risk gauge. Your risk gauge, as you can see in at least plus R, is that little bar right under your health bar. the more you block, the higher the risk gauge goes. Yeah.
In this game, it is the red bar that is created.
Yeah. And if you're at if you're at high risk, or that bar is pretty much almost full, yeah, a lot of hits become counter hits instead. So even normal hits that you hit your opponent with, you get counter hit, and then from there you can get conversion off of more damage. So like, it's a nice way to kind of like prevent too much blocking, but at the same time, it helps a little bit more offense, considering there is a lot of defense mechanics. So there's a lot of cool balance between defensive and offensive mechanics in Guilty Gear. And the risk gauge is going to be a very big role in Strive as well. Still hard to see though.
Yeah, I think the UI is not the best. I don't know if they will change it. It's really looking close. That's the final UI.
Yeah, which is fine. But hopefully we'll see. But other than that, I think that's it, right? For like pretty much like basic mechanics for like Guilty Gear in general, that you're able to switch over from, let's say you're playing plus R to Xrd. If you understand kind of like these basic mechanics, you're because they're all pretty much the same realm for each Guilty Gear, right? And then when Strive comes out, like especially from what I tested in the beta, these are like, in my opinion, also like basics I can understand to transition from like any other Guilty Gear game to Strive as well. I can't think of anything else though. Yeah, you have anything else to say?
For the basics, I have nothing. Honestly, I think we covered pretty much everything for the basics.
Yeah, I think we did. Hopefully, yeah, I just want to play more Guilty Gear. The more I play, I'm like, man, I should play this game more, a lot more. Because every time I touch like any Guilty Gear, it's just a lot of fun, because there's a lot of stuff to think about as a fighting game, right? There's so many options, but being able to kind of like piece and puzzle together your options against your opponent's options is really fun. And it's very rewarding, like you said earlier in this video.
Yeah, this game is very satisfying when everything just plays out how you want it to
play. Yeah, are you down to actually play some Plus R right now?
Yeah, no, we can play some.
Alright, let me invite